Hi. Hi, I'm Linda Majeski with Marvelous Makers, and this is a class on using the trace tool in Silhouette Studio. So, what you'll need for this class is Silhouette Studio Basic Edition installed, and then you're going to need some images. Now, we're not going to work on anything specific tonight during the class, but when we get done, it's always good, if you can't do it tonight, get in there tomorrow and practice a little bit, because the more you practice, the better you'll get at adjusting things and all of this. Because tracing is not do these three things and everything will be fine. Images are different. Some are better than others, some are easier to trace than others, and sometimes things just, have a life of their own. So this is a thing that takes some practice and some finesse, and so we are going to get started. So why do you need to trace? Well, you can create cut files from images that you import. They can be your own images. We talked about bringing in the pattern, a PDF pattern, and tracing that, so you can cut out a template or something out of cardstock, or even some not terribly thick like stencil material, that sort of thing. You can use non-silhouette files in Silhouette. And what that is if you buy a print and cut or any kind of file from the Silhouette Design Store, it will already be set up to cut. If you bring an image in, with one exception, it won't be set up to cut. So this is how you can make that a cuttable design. But the good news is that they, in the last one of the last updates they did, well, improvements to the software, that is in any version 4.0 and above, even in basic, you have the basic edition, which is the you have basic, and then designer and designer plus and business is the edition. And as you go up, it does cost money, but it's a one-time cost. And if anybody's interested, on your resource sheet that you received tonight in the email is a swing design, and you can always get it at a discount if you're interested in upgrading, because the more you upgrade, the more tools you have available to use. But even in the basic edition, you have the ability to open a PNG file with a transparent background, and it will automatically draw a cut line around the image. So that's really cool. It saves a lot of trouble, but sometimes you're not going to have that. So we'll work on things. What can you do when that's not what you have? So what can you trace? What are things that are easy? Very high resolution images. Let's pop over here. I'm going to share my screen. Oops. Let's go in here and let's open up something. Excuse me. Well, here, I'll open this. This is the thing I was working on earlier. Now you're going to see this little thing in the corner. It says low resolution. I swear to God, I will bring in gigantic files and it always says low resolution. I would not pay a whole lot of attention to that. If you notice when you print that it is grainy or not a good image, that will tell you. But it's not particularly accurate. You can see I can pull this all the way up, and this is an illustration. It's not an actual photograph. But I'm making flowers. If any of you guys know about Delaware Fun a Day, where you make some art every day. Well, a big part of me making my art is designing cut files. So what I did was trace this, and I had to clean it up quite a bit, and it's still got little funny things hanging over here and that sort of stuff. But if I go to my trace tool, which is this little butterfly, select trace. We're going to go over this slower later on, but you can see now that's the yellow is where it's going to trace. If I say trace the outer edge, and it's taking its time. When I move that, oh, look at that. Yeah, that takes a lot of cleaning up. But what eventually I did is I cleaned it all up, and then because what I was interested in, this is a cosmos flower, is being able to have the leaves or the petals separate. So I spent a lot of time doing point editing. You can see all the points on there. Isn't that crazy? That's why you hit simplify, but it still doesn't do much good for it. But that's the kind of thing you can do with, that's a little more advanced, but this is a nice, easy thing to trace because it is a pretty clear image. It is actually high resolution. A little bit harder are things like photographs. If you have photographs of people, unless it's like a person with a very plain background, every little thing is going to show up. The original for this piece of this flower was a whole picture. Let's see if I open that. If I go up to, come on. Oh, it's taking its time. But, okay. Computer's feeling laggy today. Not responding. Okay. All right. Well, yep, it was. So let's open that back up. And that happens sometimes. My computer's going through a lot right now. I'm working in Silhouette. I'm sharing my screen. I'm doing all those other things. So let's go back here. And I'm going to share my screen again. Go back in here. Now let's try it again. File, open. Thank you very much. So, the image I imported to do that. Look at all these pretty flowers. It's been fun. Where is it? There it is. So you can see there's a lot of, if I tried to trace this, it's going to trace the whole thing. Here's a little hint. This is not in this class, but I'm going to show you something just because it's fun. If you want to cut out a particular, actually that's not the one I used, but it's very similar. Let's say all I really want to trace is this flower. There's really no cropping feature within Silhouette Studio, at least that I've ever been able to find. If somebody wants to show me, I would appreciate it. And I've asked, and I haven't seen anything. But if you take a any kind of shape, say all I want to cut is this or trace is this pink flower, and I put this over the top, and I go to my weld. Does everybody or this is open the modify panel? That's the weld. But if I say subtract, oops, I have to have them both selected. The thing on the top is going to take out whatever it covers of the image on the bottom. So when I do that, I'm left with that. And so all I did with the image that I used for this to get, oh, no, that's right, I closed it. To get to the other one anyway, is I just kept doing that until I got down to something that was a little more manageable to trace, because I didn't need all this. And I'm going to remember to select both items and tell it to subtract. I didn't need all this other extra stuff. So the more the contrast there is, this is a pretty high contrast thing. It's white background, obviously it's going to work well, but you can do it. It just takes a little more time and patience. Then there are things that are not legal to import, trace, and use. Sports team logos, even for personal use, is actually a violation of trademark law. Is the NFL going to come after you for making a shirt for your friend who loves the, I don't know, Ravens? Don't shoot me. I'm not a football fan. So I got nothing. The Philadelphia Eagles, probably not. If you try to sell them, however, that's a whole different story. So just realize that you going around on the internet and pulling images off to use them is not a good idea. There are plenty of places to find things that you can get legally and often for free. So we like free and legal. That's what we're shooting for here. No, I don't want to say that. Thank you very much. Okay, so how are you going to trace something? You're in Silhouette Studio, right? So I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Open. Oops. So I save these on my hard drive. These are images I'm looking for. Here. Let's trace to and oh yeah, this is an image of ginkgo leaves. This is what's crazy. You see how huge this is? This is a very high resolution photograph, and it's still telling me it's low. They need to just take it. What's that? Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense at all.
No.
So the problem is this thing is absolutely huge. As you can tell, this is 12 by 12 right here on my screen. This thing is 106 inches wide and 54 inches high. The annoying thing, and I need to report this because I really wish I'm sure they can fix it, and is that if I adjust this here, like I say, no, I don't really need it to be 106 inches. So I click in that box for the width and I backspace out of there and I say, how wide do I want it? I want it 12 inches wide. When I do this, I need to click this little lock because if I don't, it will be 12 inches wide and it will stay 54 inches high. That would look really weird. I want it to, when I change this, the width, I want the height to change in relation to that. So I typed 12, I hit tab, you notice it changed it to 6, and I hit enter. Now watch what happens. Oh my gosh, where did it go? It is down here, someplace where we will find it eventually. Oh, hey, hold on, I've got this in my way. Where did you go, you little thing? Actually, let me see if I can do something. This is a test. I meant to try this earlier. I go select all. Yep, that's what I thought. Okay, so what I did is after that image, because it went way down over here into this corner somewhere, deep down there, is I did Control A, which is select all. If you've ever used this before on anything, it's, Control A is select all, and I believe it's Command A on a Mac. It's going to select everything I have on there, and what I told it to do was to center it to the page. This is the page, so poof, that's why it launched itself up here. So I'm going to do that again. Oh, it's nowhere. Hit Control A on my keyboard. I tell it to center to the page, and there's my image. Why they have it do that, I don't know, but I'm not in charge, so they don't ask me. So there you have some really kind of cute little images, and you're like, what can I do with that? Anything you want. Card making is a popular thing. You could print these out. You could fill them and do a print and cut. You could print them just like this, cut out and color them in by hand. There's lots of things you could do with an image similar to this, a line drawing type of thing. So now the next thing we're going to do, so we have this image, is I want to trace this. So let me zoom in here a little bit. The controls on the alrighty, I'm going to show you something else now. I'm going to close this. Unless anybody has any questions about this, I'm going to move on. I'm going to go look at a little gingerbread man. You know how you get used to when you use software programs, you do things in a particular way. There are always lots of different ways to do something. So you may find that you like using the keyboard more, or you like going to the menus, or you like using the different panels, trace panel, the, you know, fill panel, all those things. However you care to do it, that's up to you. I'm going to bring in a picture now because I want to show you the end product. Oh, look, he's gigantic. And we're going to lock that. And I'm going to say I want it to be 12 inches wide. And I hit tab, it changes that. And I hit enter and let it do Control A, and I tell it to center. That's a card. It is called iris folding, this technique of these folded strips of paper. We did this class, golly, in December of, oh, not last year, because of course we weren't doing anything last year. A year before last, it's hard to believe.
Yep, 2019.
Yep. And all of these different pieces of paper, I cut, actually cards, this is cardstock, the red. I cut that image using, by tracing, and I'll work my way backwards here. All these little interior white icing type of things. And I actually even cut the strips of paper because it's super fast on the machine. So end product. Okay, how did I get there? Well, the first thing I did was I went to my favorite site ever, Pixabay. And you can go to illustrations or vectors, either of those things. Obviously, if you need photos, like this is where I got almost every one of those flower photos. Now, I'll say this much. If I will download an image sometimes if I just need to look at it. I'm not going to trace it. I'm not going to do anything with it other than stare at it for a while and decide how I want to draw a flower or anything, or a plant or whatever it is I'm trying to, because I can't have them all live and in person here. So that's how I do it. However, if that image that I traced to make that flower, I got that here. So I'm going to say Gingerbread Man. And oh, let's not, but I don't really need photo. I don't want photos. I want illustrations. Oh, look, there he is. I like this anthropomorphic cookie. It could be a man, it could be a woman. So if I click on that, I have an account with them. It's free, just sign up. Because otherwise you have to, it's kind of a pain. It's easier if you do that. And I click on free download and I say, okay, I want to save this a really high resolution. I can also save it as an SVG, but again, unless you have an upgrade to the software, you can't use those, but you can definitely use PNGs. You notice the checkerboard in the back? What that's telling me is that this is a PNG with a transparent background. Yay, so it'll auto trace. So I'm going to download it. And there it is, and I'm going to save this into my class folder over here. You can see it's actually already there, but I wanted to show you how that works. Now, I can donate money to this author if I use this to, and I have some plans to use it to make money. I'm going to start working on putting together some card kits. So what we did in class, you wouldn't have to have a machine or anything. You could be able to make your own cards. I will go back in here and I will pay this person some money because, and actually I think this is one from Pixabay itself. So, and I can also credit it. Say, for example, I put this up on my website, I could copy that and I could acknowledge that this is where I got this from, which I think is the right thing to do. It's a really remarkable resource. They have absolutely gorgeous pictures on here. The flowers, I spent way too much time downloading pictures of flowers, but So now I'm going to go back into my Silhouette Studio. Get rid of this little guy here. Actually, open another one. Now I'm going to start from scratch. I'm going to bring in, I'm going to open, and there he is. You notice how this is black in the back? That's telling me that it's a transparent background PNG. Oh, he's giant. I don't need him that big. I'm going to say, well, for playing around business, I'll make him, oops, click that. Let's make him 10 inches wide. 10. Now, see, he didn't go too far, so I can pull him up here and can resize it like that. Okay. So here I have my gingerbread man. What I'm working towards, I'm going to open up something. I'll show you what I did with it. Oops. What you see here is that cutout. I should not have. See that red cutout? That is that file. And these are all the little inside icing things. So I'm going to come back here. I'm going to trace this little devil. Here, buddy. Oh, well, right now it only wants to trace those circles. That's not going to do me any good, is it? So let's raise that. Oh, look what happened. Isn't that interesting? It's doing this by, as it's a saturation and the color. So, but what you see happen is that when I pop this, oh, there you get just a bare outline of those buttons, and now they're gone. Well, here's the story. I can draw circles. I can go over here, hit that ellipse tool, hold down the shift key, draw your circle, let go of the mouse key before you let go of the shift key. And I will show you what happens if you don't, because this is what I do all the time. I hold the shift key, I get overexcited, I pick up the shift key and look, it's back to an ellipse. So learn from me. Do as I say, not as I do. I'm gonna hit that ellipse. I'm gonna hold down the shift key. I'm gonna draw myself a circle. I'm gonna let go of my mouse button and ta-da. So I'm not too worried about the circles. However, these squiggly little lines, and is, you know, when I'm gonna go back to select a trace area. Come here, fella. Okay. And now I'm going to increase that threshold. That looks pretty good. I like it. That works for me. I think. Let's go up and see what happens. Yeah, he's kind of speckly looking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace the whole thing. Let's see, trace. What did I get? I knew that. I got this. These parts. It's all together right now. Well, I don't want it to cut that out. I don't need the inside. Then I could have done trace outer edge, but I want those white bits, and I'll show you what you can do about that. Oh, so whoops, let me select that. You go over there. Come on, get out of here. My poor little gingerbread man. You come over here too, buddy. If I, oh, let me select trace area. These are the things. Yeah, you get to doing this, and you're like, okay. And if I say, oh, I'm going to increase that threshold. I say trace outer edge. And now it's just the outside. So that would work too. But what I can do is, with this fella, because I want these, I want to cut these out of white paper. And then I want to make that's called in iris folding called the aperture card. It's like they talk about the iris of a camera, and the aperture being, of course, the opening. So if I select this little friend, if I right click and I say release compound path, remember what I was talking about before? Now, each of these things is individual. The truth of it is these are exactly the same. They're just at different angles. So when and then that one's flipped, like mirror image. I can show you that. So now I take all that out of there. And then what I did is I figured out, I drew this, I drew with the, what do you call this? Rounded rectangle. And I knew what size I wanted it to be. It's basically, well, that's got the whole thing selected. That's why the measure, I'm like, that measurement's weird. It tells me everything's selected. And I picked this. That's what would fit on the front of the cards that I had. So what I eventually did is then set up a cut file so I could cut 6 of these out of a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. But that's sort of the whole way that went. Is it started with this little guy, traced, did all that. I also have, I go in here, gingerbread icing. I happen to have 8.5 by 11 cardstock, plus this fits a lot of stuff on it. I set those up and then just repeated, copied over. If you go to the replicate panel, rather than having to cut and paste and cut and paste. Once I had a thing set up, this is parts for 2 things with the replicate panel. I'm going to go off the other way here. I can just keep copying and I can do as many as I want and fill up the whole piece of paper so that I'm not wasting my time when I cut. Okay, what was I going to show you? Oh, I guess I'm going to come back over here for a second. You notice that I filled these images. You don't have to do that, but they're just a lot easier to see. Why it's this kind of gruesome green color, I'm not sure. But there we go. So I like to fill my shapes because it's just easier for me to see what's going on. Let's see what we got. So, okay. Any questions about any of this? Anything I can go over again?
I don't see anything in the chat, but guys, speak up if you have a question.
No? All right. Please feel free to speak up because what I'm going to show you now, well, I already showed you Pixabay. Let's see. Highly recommend it. Love it. I mean, they have all kinds of, you can just search by vectors. You can search by, and obviously this is just featured things. You can search by, they have videos. I don't know what you want that for, but illustrations can be really fun because you could import this and have a bunch of hearts. I don't know if any of you guys took the Valentine class. In the business edition, I'm going to pop that open again. Come on over here. I'm going to show you this because I have time to do it. Oops. Oh, I know it is. Oh, there we go. What do we, oh, I know I need to. I forgot about sharing this window, but it's a Zoom thing. I was showing you, it wasn't showing you what I was doing. I now have it in business. One of the things you get when you get business edition is the addition of all these, they call these flexi shapes. So if I want to draw a heart, because otherwise drawing a heart is kind of a pain in the butt, you can do it, but I found it easier to trace it. So now see, I can draw a heart with this. But if I have the basic edition, that's not something that's included in that. But I certainly can go to Pixabay say I want a heart. And I could pull in any, like this one is a nice one. It'll just trace it, and then I'll have my heart shape. When we did the Valentine class, I did a heart shaped kind of snowflake, or a snowflake made out of heart shapes. I guess that's a better way to say it. So this is just a fun thing to explore and see what you might like. I would love to do this one cut out of, I don't know, vinyl. It would be cool because I certainly would never do it by hand. You could even cut it out of paper, but all sorts of different things. This would make an interesting print and cut because it would print all that and then cut around the edges of it. Say out of printable vinyl would be neat. So there's just a lot of ideas. The other place you can go, there's a number of different ones. This is one I particularly like. I think they have really high quality stuff. So first thing I'm going to show you is called Design Bundles, and that's on your class information and in your resource guide, is go to Free Designs. Now, when you get these, now this one, I'll go here. So this says sublimation clip art. If you're not familiar with sublimation, it's a type of special ink that you can then apply to, you have to have a printer, a sublimation printer, or one that's converted to use sublimation ink. And then you can use it on shirts and anything that's they have to be polyester. You can't use cotton, or you can also people do mugs and things like that. If it's set up for that, it has a special coating on it in order to use sublimation. But the thing is you could do this with print and cut. You could make stickers. You could just print it and use it as an image for a card. You could do anything you wanted with it, and it'll tell you what. Oh, it usually tells you what images you're getting. Oh, there it is. Yeah, PNG. Okay. 300, it's 300 dots per inch. It's PNG. So if I downloaded that, I could then bring it in, and it probably will auto trace. Let's give it a whirl. Let's see. Yeah, I know. Tell me the thing. Where's your patriotic notes? Okay, so here I've got PNG files. I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to say view by extra large icons. Oh, you don't want to show me that? Open up, because I said so. Yep, and there he is. So I can save those. When you do that, when you download things, you're going to save them to your. This is still unextracted. That's why it's being a pain. But if you haven't, I mean, I think you guys know, these are like a, okay, give me the word, somebody. We're playing senior charades here. Zipped file. There we go. We need to unzip it. And I can just drag this and put it in. Let's see. I'm going to put it in. In my, oh, I can just even throw it on the desktop if I wanted to. And so now it's sitting on my desktop if I want to get to it. Close that. Go back. They have all sorts of things. This is kind of cool. Digital paper you can use to fill images, shapes. The way you do this is you import these into Silhouette Studio. You download it. Go to your, let's see, I'm gonna go back to Studio. So say I want to fill this shape with something. What I'm looking at here is, okay, so I've got this heart. When I go to my fill panel, one of the things I can select is patterns. So let's see, that says orange. I don't want that. These are all sorts of, some of these I downloaded, some of them were included. This is an image I downloaded, or a pattern I downloaded. Ooh, that's kind of cool. But if I want to bring in different patterns to use, what I'm going to do is put them here. The easiest way I've found to do this is to drag and drop. So you have this open, you open up your place, within your file explorer or similar, that you have it, and then just drag it in there. And then it will appear in here. I have some problems with some of these images. They're there, but they're not showing up for reasons I don't quite understand, and we've never been able to figure it out. So, fun with Silhouette Studio. But that's what you can do with these what they call paper sets.
So we have a question, Linda.
Yes.
So how do you use patterns? Do you print them?
Yeah, that would have to be printed. So you can get printable vinyl. You can obviously print on cardstock or paper.
Okay.
Yep. Let's see. What other things do they have here? Something to make earrings with. This is kind of neat. Isn't that cute? So there's, when you get this for free, you get SVGs, JPEGs, EPS. You don't need to. These are things. Oh, here, PDF. That's what we wanted to do. Let's download this.
Those are really cute.
Yeah, they make cute earrings. Oh, and here's a hint. Because I have set my computer up to do this, that SVGs will open in Silhouette Studio, because I can do that. But I can tell you one thing is, if I tried to right now, it would tell me, I'm going to show you this, that the file type I'm attempting to access is not supported. If I go back in here and I change this to Business Edition, it will open it. I've told the computer that when you see an SVG, open it in Silhouette Studio, because it's the only reason I use them. But yeah, you can't do it in the Basic Edition. So okay, where are we? Hang on just a second. I'm going to move something. I'm going to take a PNG and I'm going to put it in here. This is star number 1. I'm going to move that. Oops. Can you stop? Sorry, I'm having computer issues. And move it in my closet. There we go. All right. What am I sharing with you? Studio. So get rid of this guy. Just go away. Then I'm going to open a new file. Let's see, where are you? Oh, there he is, star. This is the PNG that I just downloaded from Design Bundles. And I come in here and look. I don't know if you can see this, but that little red, I don't know if I can change the fill on that or not. I'm not sure. Let's see. Yep. I just took the fill out. I just changed it to nothing. You can see that that's already traced because it's a PNG with a transparent background. So I'm going to undo that so I can see the image again. Come back out. So I want to make earrings. I have a lot of faux leather. It's got all sorts of cute things printed on it. You can get gold stuff, and they make cute earrings. So I can resize this however I want. Now, it looks pretty symmetrical to me. So I think if I just I'm going to hit Control D and slide this little friend over here. So now I have 2 earrings, and then I can cut it out of whatever I want to cut it out of. If it was something that was not symmetrical, you would want, in, you know, like say you're going to have earrings, you'd want to, instead of just duplicating like that, you're going to go to your replicate panel, and these are going to mirror things for you. So, and it just shows you from the clear is your original image, the filled is the other image. So if I want to flip it, it looks pretty, let's see. No, it is a little bit different. You can see, let me close in here a little bit. See, I did a mirror image of it. It's not actually perfectly symmetrical. It's a little bit different. So, I mean, with these, it probably wouldn't matter, but you know, if you're going to make a pair of something, you typically want them to be, rather than, you know, it just would make a left one and a right one, I guess. I mean, it wouldn't matter which ear you stuck it in. But do I have some questions?
Nothing's in the chat. Anyone?
Okay, I'm going to go back over here because I want you to notice one thing about design bundles, and this is one of the reasons I recommend it, is you can use their images. They have a, these come with, okay, I'm going to say this and it's going to be in English. Let me see what I'm looking for. A license. That's it. There we go. There's certain things you can do with the images you get from this website. Here we go. Licenses. So obviously for personal use, you can do whatever you want. For commercial use, a premium license, which is what all of these images come from, whether you pay for them or they're for free, is there is some limited use, but you could make all the earrings you wanted and sell them. What you can't sell is the file itself. That file belongs to the designer, and so you are not allowed to sell their work. You can, however, sell things you make from that work. So, which is really cool, which is one reason I like this. The other reason I like this site is they have this thing, $1 deals. They do it once a month. And right now you can't see anything. It's not coming up until, when is it? And it's usually the last Wednesday of the month. And they preview stuff on their Facebook group, and there's just some really neat things, and they cost $1 a piece. If you put some money in your account, you can see I have $7.30 in here right now. It's actually only 90 cents, and they're big bundles of designs. And they've got some pretty cool ones coming up, so I'm pretty excited about that. It's a nice way to get a lot of good, you know, PNG files that you can use because you have a license if you want to sell it, or you can just make stuff for yourself and your family. So, and they have fonts during that sale also. So I'm not sure if they have any fonts in here right now. They have some images, but they don't need fonts. But this is all the free things, so that's pretty cool. And then the final thing I want to show you is Silhouette Design Store. First of all, they have a free design of the week, and sometimes more than that. If you don't, I download it in time. Sometimes it goes back to being where they charge you for it, and sometimes they don't. I have not gotten these two. This is the free design of the week. It's a lion head. I'm not quite sure what one would do with that, but I'm not a lion person, so maybe if you are, you can come up with something. You could certainly make stickers out of that. Oh, that's one thing I'm going to show you is a bleed before we go. But the other thing is in the store itself, if I click on designs, and I say I want to print and cut, then all of these are set up to be printed and cut. Okay, there's some earrings, line drawing, pretty little wreath. You can see around the edge here where that's where it's going to cut. It's not going to what we call a kiss cut, which is right up against that. So, and typically they're 99 cents. You see this one's 50 cents. It's a really a pretty inexpensive way to get some things that you might want to use. If there's something in particular you're looking for and you're not having any luck, getting it for free, I would definitely take a look at this and see, if there's something here that you want that would meet your needs. Because the nice thing about it is, regardless of what you do, let's say you want to make a 3D craft of some kind, these are all paper and they're all set up to be, the pieces are there, and you just have to work with a little bit, the file, but it will, you can use it pretty easily in your in Silhouette Studio. They have a lot of fonts. If you buy a font through the design store, it will automatically put itself into your computer. There we go. So you can use it Silhouette. But as opposed to if you get fonts from other sites, you need to upload them to your computer. And then when you turn on Silhouette Studio, if you don't see it, turn it off and it'll probably say, oh, we're going to upload your fonts now. So the final thing I want to show you guys real quick, let's go back to Silhouette Studio. Okay. The thing to know about print and cut, this, because when you're doing tracing, a lot of the reason is because you want to do a print and cut. There is a margin of error of, I'm going to find the exact measurement. Here we go. It's a 1/16 of an inch. Or it's not even margin of error, it's error in the margin, which is 1.57 millimeters. It's pretty tiny. Okay, but if you want, say you wanted to, this, okay, I'm going to, let's see, not fill this. I want this unfilled, but I want to fill it with a really cute pattern or something. Oh, look at those polka dots. So I've got something printable that I can put that on, and I want to do a print and cut of this. Let's find something that's not quite as distracting. There we go. I don't want an edge around it when I print it, when I cut it. I don't want white to show around the edge. What you do in your print and cut, and this is in the class, is going to go to your setup panel. This is where you set up your registration marks, and this is a no-no. It's in the wrong spot, so we're going to move it down here a little bit. I just want to show you what happens. If you tell it to print bleed, which is on the page setup for when you're going to do a print and cut on a registration panel page, when you click that, nothing happens, you think. If I go to print this, it's going to open a print preview. And now you're going to see, that's kind of weird because it's polka dots, that it's extended that color out a little bit. I hope you can see that. It's actually kind of weird because of the polka dots. And what that does is it helps out with that error in the margin that might happen. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you feel like this thing has a mind of its own, but it's going to cut just inside of that when you print it. Well, when you cut it, when you take the you take this file, you print it, and you put it back in the machine and cut it. It's going to cut on this line where it is printed just beyond that, and you can change that. You can adjust it up and down. So that's something to remember if you're going to use trace to do print and cut, that that's way you can make sure that your cut is right up to the edge. If you want a border around it, that's not a problem, and you can do that too. Say I actually wanted a border around it. I could come over here. I'm going to show you a few things here and do the offset. And you can see that just added that. I'm going to make it a new color so you can see it a little bit better. Oh, except I had the wrong thing. And there is a color combination for you. As you can see, that's solid. So say this is actually a cute thing to do earrings is you do an offset of that image and then you cut this out of one color and you cut the one in the back just like that, but you need the hole in it. So that's something you can add. Say I wanted to make the background a different color. I'm going to take a little circle. I'm going to try, I want it about the same size. Let me come in here a little bit. This is free additional information. I'm going to draw a little circle about the same size. Yep, I like that there. I'm going to move this. And now I'm going to select those two things. Remember what I showed you earlier? We go to the modify panel and say subtract. And now it's got a hole in it. So I'm going to cut this out of one color and cut this out of another color. And then when I put the earrings together, ta-da! And that, my friends, is about that. So I'm going to stop sharing.